When you begin the game, everything leading up to the point where you wake up in this cell feels rushed. It's like the game is hauling ass to get started. But you quickly forget about that because of how gorgeous everything looks. The environment's so polished and detailed and dynamic, and your movement feels meaty, like it has weight to it, which I love. I hate it when you're playing as a badass character, but it feels like you're controlling a limp noodle. In terms of graphical fidelity and polish, it felt like a Naughty Dog game, if not better. So okay, you're liking these juicy graphics and atmosphere, but then the game decides it wants to make you use the left analog stick to dodge enemy attacks. Okay, fine. So you're sitting there like an idiot, fucking around with this analog stick. You keep an eye on these damn boogers to see whether they hit from the left or right side so you can dodge by moving the thumbstick to the opposite side at the right time before getting a few licks in. You die a couple of times before realizing you're doing it all wrong, because you can dodge left or right regardless of which side these boogers attack you from. And you also don't have to time it either. You feel stupid for a few seconds, but chuckle like a jackass, and move on. Collect a few audio logs, which are less than 30 seconds each, and add nothing to the story or characters. The audio logs usually go something like this. This prison is a horrible place. A lot of problems need to be solved. Yes, yes, I will solve those problems. Yes, yes. Audio logs feel like they were crammed into the game last minute, and the writer had a deadline due 10 minutes from when he started writing. It made me appreciate the audio logs in Arkham Asylum and BioShock even more. So after playing for a few hours, you've been consistently blown away by how thick and gritty this atmosphere is, and just the level of granular detail and polish that went into these environments. It really has a luxurious feel to it. You also really like how impactful and satisfying the melee and weapons feel. The haptic feedback on PS5 also feels great, especially when you loot these crates. It gives off this really satisfying vibratory feedback and sound effect. You're also looking forward to seeing the creative ways in which you'll be able to use the telekinesis ability. But little do you know, you won't be able to use it in any creative ways. That's right. You're also waiting to get scared. In fact, at this point, what you're most scared about is the fact that this game won't be scary at all. You're slowly accepting the harsh reality that this game will continue to use these generic Black Ops zombies as enemies instead of coming up with something interesting. In these few hours you've played so far, you've also squeezed through an insane number of vents and walls. It's like when you're trying to cruise down the street but have to constantly halt your momentum because of all these damn speed bumps. But you feel like you're being nitpicky for complaining about this. You tell yourself to be more positive about this game, especially since you need to find a way to cope after spending $70 on it. You continue playing with this new positive mindset. Hey, you still have your badass suit to look forward to. You play a little more, and you finally get your suit and feel badass, and you're dropped into this harsh, snowy weather of Callisto. You're ready to beat ass. I'm not even going to mention how gorgeous everything looks, because it's getting redundant at this point. It would have been great to have more missions set outdoors like this, where you can see Jupiter in the distance, because it just looks so epic and cultivates that, that epic sci-fi feel. After like an hour or two of having your suit, your helmet breaks, screwing up your badass look, and you have to make do with Jacob's egghead for the rest of the game. That's okay, no big deal. I like looking at Jacob's big-ass head instead of the badass helmet I had on earlier. Fighting groups of enemies is tough because your field of view is really tight, and you can't see when a zombie's about to attack you from behind or from the side. It would have been really helpful if you could quick turn. I wonder why they didn't put that in. They must have had a really good reason to not put it in. There also should have been a weapon wheel instead of the scrolling system, but that's not a huge deal. Whatever. Anyway, you start using your telekinesis to separate groups of enemies so zombies don't clap you from the back while you're beating the shit out of their twin. You've gotten a hang of the gameplay and everything's fine. It's even kind of fun. But something about the game just feels uninspired. Boss battles are ass-tastic and unimaginative. You literally just stand in one place and dodge attacks and shoot a few bullets when you see an opening. That's all there is to it. There's no challenge because you don't need to time your dodges. All you have to do is just hold the analog stick on one side, and when the boss hits another attack, you just move the analog stick to the other side. Rinse and repeat. You also had to fight the same boss 4 times. I get that they had a limited budget on this game, but they could have at least made it so that you had to approach each fight differently, or that the boss could have used different attacks. And the telekinesis was fun to use, but its potential was wasted. It could have been used so much more creatively. They could have made it so you could grab projectiles midair and launch them back. It could have been used to pick up and throw items to distract zombies during stealth. It could have been used to solve puzzles and maybe reach hidden areas by stacking crates and climbing over them. They could have done so much more with it. And that theme of untapped potential just flows through the entire game. You can't help but notice it. It was like when I was playing Cyberpunk 2077. I just saw untapped potential everywhere, and that's a damn shame. After playing for a while, you realize that the main reason the game feels so uninspired and held back is because of its lack of interesting characters and story, which is a damn shame because the concept of being stuck on Jupiter's moon and the overall sci-fi vibe is so cool. But this game doesn't take advantage of that concept. The gameplay is flawed, but it isn't the main problem here. I'd even argue it's one of the game's strengths. Let's look at the Uncharted series. Those games have bare bones gameplay. You can't even upgrade your weapons at all. There's no sense of progression in the gameplay, and the melee and weapon feedback is nowhere near as satisfying as it is in Callisto. But you can look past it because the Uncharted series has such great characters and set pieces that make you want to keep playing and stay in that world, even though the gameplay can get stale. Callisto didn't have interesting characters or story to motivate you to continue playing and see what happens next. For this reason, it also could have really benefited from more epic set pieces to spice things up. One of the moments I really loved was when the platform explodes and you're flying through space. The transition from cutscene to gameplay was so clean and seamless. It was so epic, and it's had such a huge sense of scale to it. I wish this game had more epic moments like that, especially since it would have helped compensate for the lack of interesting story and characters. So as you continue playing, you decrease the difficulty to easy. Not because the game's too difficult, but because you want to hurry up and get through it, because it isn't holding your interest. You love the atmosphere and all of the surface level qualities, such as the graphics and the detailed environments. The melee and weapon feedback is awesome as well, but that's about it. Everything else is just lacking something, some sort of aura, pizzazz, if you will. Near the end of the game, this lab setting looks really cool. They've also got these really slick doors. You meet the evil guy and it's exactly what you'd expect. No twist or anything. The evil guy just goes, "Oh, evolution, man must evolve to become greater being. Yes, yes, evolution, evolution. And in typical badass fashion, Jacobs goes, "No, you can't do this. I will stop you." The part that really stuck out to me was the camera angle they used here. You see how the camera stays inside the ship as it ejects from the building? I don't know, it just made it look so epic and cinematic. And of course you gotta end the game with a cheap ass jump scare like this.